Today, we're going to talk about something that's, well, it's kind of like a silent killer of innovation. It's the legacy system. It's the reason so many great product ideas just die on the vine. But we're also going to look at how some new tech is finally starting to clear the path. Does this sound familiar? I mean, come on. You suggest what seems like a totally simple change, right? Just a tiny little tweak to make things better for the user. But the response you get back from engineering sounds like you've asked them to rebuild the entire system from scratch. This isn't just a simple miscommunication. It's a huge red flag for a much, much deeper problem. And the stakes here? They're incredibly high. A staggering 80%, think about that, 80% of new product features and innovations fail. And the number one reason isn't bad ideas, it's not poor market research. Nope, it's misjudging what it actually takes to build these new ideas on top of old, complicated, messy code. So, what is this invisible wall that product managers keep running into? Well, we call it the technical black box. It's this system that you, as a product manager, are totally responsible for, but you can't actually see what's going on inside of it. Modern product management, it's rarely about starting fresh with a clean slate. Most of the time, you're inheriting this deep, complex system that's been around for years, maybe passed down through a half dozen teams. You're not the first architect of the building. You're more like the new caretaker of a sprawling, historic mansion with a lot of secret passages. Now, a legacy system isn't necessarily bad code. It's just a system that's been around long enough to collect a lot of complexity, a bunch of hidden dependencies, and a whole lot of unwritten rules. It works, so replacing it would be a massive, expensive project. But trying to innovate on top of it, that's just as dangerous. When you don't really get the underlying structure, every single new feature becomes a roll of the dice. You're basically trying to build a beautiful, shiny new skyscraper, but you're doing it on a foundation that you've never even inspected. It's really only a matter of time before you start seeing some serious cracks. And this lack of visibility, it's not just some minor inconvenience. It comes with very real, very painful hidden costs. This gap, the one between the product vision and the reality of the code, it creates fear, it creates friction, and ultimately it leads to failure. These costs really show up in three main ways. The documentation you're told to rely on is basically a fantasy novel. The fear of breaking something paralyzes any real progress, and the tension between the product and engineering teams just keeps getting worse. Let's break each of those down. First up, the documentation gap. That product requirements doc you think is the source of all truth? Yeah, it's hopelessly out of date. The real documentation, the stuff that actually matters, is trapped in the heads of people who probably left the company years ago. Second, this whole situation creates a culture of fear. Because nobody really knows what might break if they make a big change, teams start going for these little band-aid solutions. But all these patchwork features just add more and more complexity, making the system even more bloated and fragile over time. And finally, you get team friction. The product team, looking from the outside, they see a one-week task. The engineering team, who knows about all the hidden traps and complexity, they see a solid month of really careful, really risking work. And without a shared objective view of reality, that gap gets filled with frustration and a whole lot of mistrust. So, how do we fix this? How do we finally shine a light inside this black box? Well, the big breakthrough is using AI. Not just to write new code, but to understand the code we already have. To act like a universal translator between the business logic and what the system is actually doing. The critical question really is this. How do you take that tangled, intimidating mess, that black box, and turn it into a clear, usable blueprint that everyone on the team can actually understand and build on with confidence? It all comes down to three key things AI can do. First, it can reverse engineer the actual business logic straight from the code itself. Second, it can analyze the potential ripple effects of any change you want to make before you build it. And third, it can generate regular system health reports to proactively tell you where the risks are. And this is the transformation. On the left, you see the chaos most people see when they look at a legacy system. On the right, this is what AI can create from that chaos. A simple, clear flowchart showing the exact business process as it runs today. It's the difference between being totally lost and having a map. And this has real-world results. For example, an e-commerce product manager used this tech to map out their super complex refund logic. And in the process, they found 3 hidden pathways for fraud that had never been documented and were literally costing the company money every single day. So this isn't just about a new tool, it's a fundamental change in what's possible. It gives product managers a new superpower, the ability to actually understand the logic of their product without needing to be a software engineer. This capability creates a whole new set of rules for product management. Rule number one, trust the live code as your single source of truth, not those dusty old documents. Two, see the system's boundaries before you even start designing new features. And three, use these AI-generated reports as a common language to turn arguments with engineering into productive agreements. Now, let's be really clear. This is not about turning PMs into coders, not at all. It's about empowering them with a structured, high-level understanding of the system's logic so they can make smarter, faster, and way safer decisions. Ultimately, this whole thing comes down to one simple idea: making the invisible visible. Success in product development today isn't just about what you build. It's about deeply understanding the landscape you're building on. So this really lays out the new playbook. We're moving from trusting outdated documents to trusting the live code. We're going from designing in the dark to innovating with a crystal clear map. And we're going from arguing over subjective estimates to agreeing on objective impact. This, right here, is the future of building great products. So we'll leave you with this final thought. The biggest thing holding your product back, it might not be a lack of ideas or a lack of resources. It might just be the invisible boundaries hidden deep within your own system. The real question is, are you ready to finally see them?